the battle that wages, and it's all behind the scenes, everyone. You have no clue consciously of what's going on there.
What's the job of your nervous system? It's to keep you safe. Very good. And so it has to come to your rescue because it's hearing something's changing, something's going to be different.
Awareness of the function of your nervous system. Interesting, I just thought that. Why do I feel like this in this moment? Why do I continue to behave and act that way? So an awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, behaviors, and habits. So your surface conscious. Here's the thing. Your surface conscious is probably your most overworked organ. How many of you spend most of your time trying to figure out, trying to solve, trying to deal with change, handle change, create change with your surface conscious, with all your logic and your training and your good intention and your passion, right? All your education and your skill sets. And it's like, whoa, so much burden for this little guy, for your little neocortex. So here's the first thing. Creating change and dealing with change has absolutely nothing to do with your logic and your reason and your understanding and how smart you are and your doctorate degree or your CA degree. Okay? It has a whole different purpose. And that's part of it, getting information. So think of the surface conscious sort of like the captain of the ship. Who's calling the shots in the ship? The captain, right? But who carries out that order? The crew. Everybody else. Captain just sort of sits back. So it's essentially the same thing. When you make a decision, when you say, I'm deciding to change, it is a non-negotiable aspect of my life. Cool. Great. Your captain, surface conscious, has to go there. It makes the decision, but then let it go. Step back and now engage the other aspects of your consciousness to make that change. Leave your little neocortex out of the picture. But how does a thought, how does a belief affect my life? How does changing those thoughts and belief create change? That's sort of the question. That's sort of what we're talking about today. So it's not the surface conscious. It's the subconscious.
And how we can tap into that to achieve our goals and dreams versus being a victim of it. If you don't know and don't understand what's showing up and what's working, that it's a part of your brain that forms habits. And what's the purpose of a habit is survival. You don't do anything on a repetitive, consistent basis just for the heck of it. You do what you do because the nervous system thinks if you don't do this, you're going to die. That's all it cares about. So on one level, we get it, which is a good thing, because as we get deeper into the brain here, the subconscious aspects, survival means I got to keep my heart beating, I got to keep the lungs breathing, I got to digest that food you just ate. If I don't, you're going to die. Good thing. Well, it does the exact same thing with your personality and with concepts and ideas. And in this aspect, habits. It thinks that if you don't perform and if you don't act in this specific way when it comes to relationships, when it comes to money, when it comes to your job, when it comes to your purpose, when it comes to anything, you're going to die. Right? So we don't blame the habit. Again, we celebrate, we acknowledge, we thank our nervous systems to be being so committed to keeping us safe. However, that thought's not serving me. So we're going to improve our thought process. This habit, this behavior that I'm doing in this environment isn't effective, so we need to upgrade it. Let's have the nervous system so committed to these safety protocols that you're outlining that if it doesn't do it, it's going to die. Do you follow? So we're not changing. This idea of safety and habit forming is a non-negotiable. You're going to do habits. You're going to think stuff. You're going to feel stuff. All we're saying is, okay, let's go with it, but let's assume control.
I have a quick question on
Yes.
practice. You know how a lot of our mentors will say that practice can kind of be a roller coaster?
Yes.
And I don't know if I really believe that, because life is kind of like a roller coaster. So how would you explain that?
Great. So let me clarify the question. You don't believe that it has to be like this?
Well, I don't like it when it happens.
That's so honest. Yeah. So the question becomes, why is it so important to your subconscious that your practice is a roller coaster?
Right.
Because based on results, right? So another technique that we use is if you really want to know what you believe, look at your reality. Look at your results. Look at what's going on. Right? Take full responsibility. Realize that, and again, this is a sort of this we need a whole day on this one, but the sense of, hey, is there truly, where's the cause and effect happening? Right? Is the cause and effect happening to what I think, say, and do? To me, let's go back to, I don't know, I got this pyramid scheme. I did this the other day. You're doing a pyramid scheme. I'm like, no, it's and that took her out. She's all like crossed up and like, what's your physiology telling you right now, right? Yes. So talk about the thalamus, right? Talk about the receptionist cut me off. That was great. Okay, so what do we know? 4% is the seen realm, right? This is what your senses are picking up. So right off the bat, how many people live here? How many people live their entire lives based on sensory stimulus, based on what their senses are picking up? We said 75%. 75% of the population will never hear what we've even talked about. Subconscious? So their mind prison is forced to look at every situation, circumstance, and event, people, places, thing, all the physical stuff is, oh, that's why I feel good, or that's why I feel bad. Makes sense, perfectly logical, and we can stay there. And then, but we're also justified that we can't do anything about that. Whatever shows up in our practice, whatever shows up in the government or economy or insurance, we had nothing to do with it. We can't control it, right? Because there's the cause and effect is in the physical. The unseen realm doesn't exist. This is all there is. A lot of research, a lot of evidence to challenge that concept. So now we got 96%. And by the way, of this, you're only processing, your nervous system can only process that much. 0.0001%. So virtually nothing. Most people live their entire lives based on nothing. That's why we said it's an illusion, okay? So 96% is happening behind the scenes with your mind prison, all this stuff. So where most people think cause and effect is in the physical, I'm going to say cause and effect is unseen to seen, invisible to visible. It's what's going on at the subconscious level. So bottom line is you want to know what you believe? It's one of my quotes is that your reality, your situation, everything you're dealing with is your subconscious's best attempt to express itself in a physical, tangible form. Right? So that's why you've got to be a good director. Step back and say, okay, it would look like it's my money, it's my relationships, it's the insurance. It would look like that on the physical. That's what I'm all stressed about. But behind the scenes, there's a whole different meaning and a whole different game being played out. And you know that's true too, because when you fix this thing and you feel better about this thing, what else shows up? Something else that makes you feel the exact same way. So here's the thing. Because the subconscious doesn't know whether you feel unworthy because you're not getting enough patients or you feel unworthy because you're not in a great relationship, it could care less. As long as it makes you feel, as long as your situation, your reality validates the self-perception, it's done its job. So your conscious, your intellect, your good, your training and knowledge could fix this. And it usually does because you're smart. But it doesn't stay because the real cause and effect was coming down here. And the subconscious is like, okay, well, I have a job. I have an agenda. I got to make sure the reality is consistent with what they think about themselves. So let's bring a health problem into play, or so it'll find something. And you know that's true because patterns exist.